they arranged Big Nephew, Few we called him, and Joseph. We wanted to see him wrestle, and there was some big money put on the wrestling match between Joseph and Few,
I don't remember that.
and Joseph slammed that Few on the turf in the equipment room, and then everybody just took off and was like, "Oh man, he's hurt." But I can remember Joseph coming in, and then you bring in. All right, y'all, I'm bringing y'all today a special guest. Some of you Louisiana people might recognize his face here. Self-proclaimed best center to ever come out of the state of Louisiana. Spent some time down in Tulane. He's an author of a book, Fourth in New Orleans. He was down in Tulane after Hurricane Katrina. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say my life would not be the same if our paths wouldn't have crossed. We were together in Atlanta. His only job, he got hired to Atlanta. He was a tight ends coach. And when he got the job, Mike Smith called him. He said, "Scelfo, your only job is to make sure Tony Gonzales gets on the bus on time." And that was the only thing he had to do. He had one of the best tight ends to ever play the game. He just had to make sure he got on the bus on time. And I don't know, Scelfo, if you always got Tony on the bus or on the plane on time.
Well, I did, except one time.
One time. What happened?
We were playing the New York Jets
Uh-huh.
in Meadowlands, and the buses pulled out, and Tony wasn't on it.
God
We
dang.
had breakfast together. He said he had to run up to his room for a minute. Well, the buses start pulling out real slow, and all of a sudden he calls me. He says, "I see the buses pulling out. I still have 2 minutes." Well, I said, "The buses are gone." So, of course, he said some choice words to me like I was going to get the bus to stop.
Well,
So,
you should have. That was your only job.
well, we get to the stadium, and your group, you and Clabo and all you guys are on me about you got one job, that's to get Tony to the bus. This is all in the locker room for the game. So I went to Smitty. I said, "Smitty," I said, "Tony didn't get on the bus." He goes, "It's all right. As long as he gets here an hour and a half before the game, he'll be fine." Well, I called Tony. I said, "Hey, are you on your way?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm in an Uber. No worries. I'll be there." So, okay. So I didn't say nothing to none of you guys because y'all were just on me relentless, right? I mean, relentless. So Tony gets there. Everybody's all, "Hey, Scelfo, you didn't do your job. Da, da, da. Y'all all trying to get me fired." Well, I said, okay. We go out there and it's like 10, I think it's 10-6. They're up. And it's
Uh-huh.
freezing cold. They got snow piled up on the side and
I
all.
remember it.
And we call motion with stick route. And Tony catches the stick with about 10 seconds to go in the game. And we win the game. so, so,
So you were all right. Your job was saved.
so I walk in the locker room. I go straight to the O-lineman. And I said, "Guys, y'all have to understand something. I got a lot of experience. When it's this cold out here, you don't let your horse out the gate too early. You got to get him ready to go."
Oh, man.
And that put a stop to all y'all. That
Oh,
killed
yeah.
all y'all.
That was
Yeah.
some good times, man. That's something I'll never forget. And you talk about Tony. Tony was a special breed. And that locker room or y'all's tight end room over those times, you had Tony, you had Justin Peele, who's coaching in Atlanta now. You had Michael Palmer. Who else was in that room that I'm leaving out, Scelfo?
We had Jason Rader.
Jason Rader. Yeah,
Jason,
yeah.
we had
And that
another,
was a really good group, man.
another young fella from Zinger, Keith Zinger. He played at
Keith
LSU.
Zinger from LSU sure did. Yeah.
He was there a couple of years. He was a 7th rounder and our last pick, and he lasted 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, he did.
Uh,
He was a hard
yeah.
nosed kid, man. So
But we did, Todd. We had a really good room. But I tell you, you guys in the offensive line room, y'all were right next door to us, and I used to always go in there, of course, and because I'm old lineman in my heart, and y'all your fine list was the best in the world.
oh man.
It
Scelfo,
was.
that's what I miss the most is,
Uh,
people ask me all the time about the game. Do you miss playing or do you miss being out on the field? And what I miss the most is that offensive line room, going in there, the fine boards we had and the times and the stories that we had. That's what I mean. If somebody told me, look, we're going to bring you back and all you're going to do is go sit in the offensive line room, you're not going to play, I'm in. Let me know where to sign, you know.
That's the same with me, Todd. And I tell you, it was just so much. We just had a special team. I mean,
We
our
did.
team really close, and we didn't have any egos, and we had some great players: Matt Ryan, Roddy White, Julio Jones. I mean, we had some Mike Turner. Remember him? I mean,
Oh, yeah. The list
we
goes on, man.
it goes
We had
on
a
and
we
on.
had a good locker room, Scelfo, during that group. I know you remember we had Mike Peterson was a guy, linebacker that played at Florida, and they brought him back. I think it was his last year playing because Smitty believed in having the right guys in the locker room, you know. And at the time, Peterson and myself, we were on the downtick in our career, but we had a really good. Your locker room has to be good, and I think that was one thing that Smitty did really good. He put a bunch of good players or older players with a lot of experience in each of those rooms, and it paid off for our team.
It really did, and when the end of Smitty's regime, he's still the winningest coach in the Falcons' history.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, man.
I mean, but at the end of the day, when his regime was over, Todd, we didn't have that mixture. We had
Right.
to let guys go, yourself included, which I think you had another year or two in you. I really do.
Yeah.
Uh, but it might have been mutual, but we had to let some guys go, and we didn't bring other guys in with the maturity level and the team background, and that hurt us, the last couple of years.
Yeah, and Scelfo, if I had to tell, young GMs or guys trying to learn, I mean, even a college program, sometimes, you have to take, and I was still playing at a fairly high level there towards the end, but sometimes you got to take a little bit less what you're getting physically and factor in, what a guy does for the guys around him and how he is in the locker room, and you see it all the time. You look at, to me, Belichick, he'll go sign guys towards the end of their career, but he knows their leadership ability and what they're going to do to the guys around them. I think that part, the mental aspect of it and in the locker room needs to play a bigger factor. Because, like you said, we had some great guys in that group. And, Chris, what I remember is, we were coming around. Joseph was at Oconee, right? That's where he went to high school.
Yep. Yep.
How old was Joseph when he first started coming around the locker room?
He was
12, 13?
12, 13, 14, 15, and you guys is the ones that raised him basically because I mean, he's coaching now in New Mexico, Todd, and his career. I mean, he's just so far advanced because of the things that he hung out in the locker room with you guys and listened to you and Sam Baker and Claybo, which Claybo was always ornery, so he learned
Oh,
the ornery
always. He's
side
still
of
the
it.
same.
Still the same, isn't he? But he would sit there and just listen. And
Yeah.
Justin Playlock, Justin would hang out with
Harvey
him,
Dahl.
Harvey Dahl, and it made my son. It really did make my son who he is today. It really
Yeah,
did.
and I look back, Scelfo, and I can remember Joseph, little redheaded joker. He would come down there and he worked. He helped out with the equipment guys. But anytime we were done with practice, our offensive line, all of our lockers were together, and you would look up anytime he was in the facility, and Joseph's little stubby butt was sitting in a locker, and he was just, I mean, he fit in. You're talking about professional athletes, and this guy. He's just sitting right there, soaking it in. He's, he's jabbing back at us. We messing with him. He's messing with us. And then I don't know if you remember, they arranged Big Nephew, Few we called him, and Joseph. We wanted to see him wrestle, and there was some big money put on the wrestling match between Joseph and
I
Few,
don't remember
and
that.
and Joseph slammed that Few on the turf in the equipment room, and then everybody just took off and was like, "Oh man, he's hurt." But I can remember Joseph coming in and then you bringing in his highlights. Like, look, I want y'all to watch this. And I'm going to tell y'all this. What Joseph Scelfo was doing on the high school field, there were some mamas from them other teams in the Georgia the state of Georgia that were mad at Joseph Scelfo because our group, when we were there, we were called the Nasty Boys. And you had Harvey Dahl, you had Claybo, Blaylock, myself, Sam Baker. Those guys finished better than anybody I had ever seen. You know, if you were standing around a pile, somebody was going to clean your clock. Harvey Dahl was going to drive you into the ground and put an elbow in your throat. And I think Joseph, he would watch those films and he learned that mentality. And then watching him on Friday nights, the way he played the game, he was going to put you on your back, or he was going to try 100%. And I love watching Joseph play high school football.
He was going to finish, and you know, Todd, he took a chance and left after 4 years at South Alabama and grad transferred to North Carolina State and
Yeah,
went in there at 6 foot, 300 pounds, and won the starting job over a guy that was the first round pick of the Vikings, Garrett Bradbury. And
right.
really, Joseph went in there with no expectations and started all 13 games and was named a captain. Being there.
That's crazy.
But a lot of it has a tribute to y'all, and it was. But back to like the meeting rooms. I remember to this day, if an offensive lineman bumped the gold jacket, then he was fined $100. It was that simple. I mean,
you talking about Tony, right?
yes. I mean,
Yeah.
you bumped Tony on the field in the hallway.
So to let y'all know, so we had a fine. It was called the gold jacket fine. If you touched Tony Gonzales, I mean, the dude we knew while we were playing with him, he was going to be a Hall of Famer. And but if you hit him on the field or if you ran into him, it was $100 fine. You couldn't touch Tony. And Scelfo, one of the things that blows me away, and I talked to, I got to see Coach Mike Malarkey, when I went into the Ring of Honor. He was there at the practice, and I'd never heard this story. He said, we get Tony signed. Tony comes into the locker room, and he goes to meet with Mike Malarkey, who was the offensive coordinator, and he walks in and he says, I don't block power. He says, what do you mean you don't block power? He goes, I don't block power. I will not block power. And Malarkey's sitting there thinking like, all right, this dude, he doesn't want to block power. So we go to the first install. I think it was our first week. And he puts in, and Tony's at the point on power. And Malarkey's going through, and he's like, Tony, this is you right here. And he looks up at Malarkey. Like, Tony, Tony, he didn't want to block too much. What Tony was really good at was getting open and catching balls. But I couldn't believe it. The guy at that point, he told him, look, I'm not blocking power.
There are a lot of stories that I could tell about that relationship between those two guys, and
Right.
it's not good. And I was stuck in the middle, And
Oh,
what I
yeah.
would do, I'd come down from the offensive staff meeting and say, okay, we putting this, and this in. And Tony goes, well, I'm not going to be in on these plays. And I said, well, finally I got to the point, Todd, that I drew a picture on the board of where our meeting room was, around the corner, up the stairs to
Go
Malarkey.
talk to it.
And all I would do was just point to that. I said, get on up and get on out.
That's right. Hey, when Tony, and I mean, you look back at it and you could look at his highlights. Tony was not a great blocker. He'd tell you that. He didn't love blocking. What Tony was really good at was getting open and using his body. Wherever the ball was, he was going to use his body like a basketball player that he was. And his hands were so good that if you just got the ball in the area, Tony Gonzales was coming down with it. I can't remember him dropping many balls in our time together when we were there in Atlanta.
I don't either. Todd, you go back, though, when I went back and looked at his tape early on in his career. He was the best blocking tight end in the league.
Right.
And at one time, but when we got him, he specifically told the general manager, the head coach, I'm not here to block.
Well, he wasn't there to block,
No. And,
he was there to do what he did,
I don't know if you remember this. We playing Tampa. My second year. Tony's first year we were together. We played Tampa the last game of the year, and we're 8. If we win the game, we have a winning record. If we don't, we're 8-7.
Okay.
We win the game, we're going to be 9-7 with a winning record. back-to-back winning seasons are 8-8. Well, Tony needs like 6 catches to get 1,000 yards. I don't know if you
Uh-huh.
remember this. So he needed like 6 catches going into the game for 1,000 catches. Well, so he has 5 in the Tampa game, and
I
Smitty's
remember.
on the headset saying, "We got to get him the ball. We got to get him the ball." So we draw up a shovel pass where
Uh-huh.
he catches it. It don't matter. We're winning the game. We're gonna win the game. Well, he calls some sort of naked, and the ball gets batted down, and Tony don't get his 1,000th catch.
I
So,
remember that.
so, so I always shower, Todd. I got out of there real fast. So I'm walking to the bus at Buck Stadium, and here comes one of the managers, grabs me, goes, "Coach Scelfo, you got to come back in. You got to come back in. Tony's going crazy."
I remember.
I run back into the locker room, and I guess Tony was about to fight Malarkey. Malarkey went by and tapped him on the shoulder, said, "Good game," and they say, "Tony, I wasn't there." Tony stood up.
Oh, I remember. I remember. I forgot about that.
Yeah, y'all, you guys, Ben Hartsock and Peel, they held Tony off, and by the time I got in there, he had calmed down a little bit, and
God, oh.
he had a lot of choice words.
Oh,
So
I bet. I can remember, we had a group and it was the back of bus 3, every away game. And it was a privilege to get to go sit on the back of bus 3. Not everybody, if a rookie tried to come to the back of bus 3, they would get kicked off. No, you got to go to another bus. But the whole back, it was towards the end of my career, it was Tony, it was Matt Ryan, it was Michael Turner, Claybo, Baker, all the offensive line, and you had a seat back there. But there may or may not have been some Bud Lights, and Tony liked to drink the Stellas that made it to the back of that bus, and it was our time to unwind a little bit. You put in a hard week's work, and I don't think alcohol is allowed, or if it's still allowed, but some kind of way it found its way back there under the seats. But it was our time to drink a beer or two and just to let a little stress out, and the beer tasted better after a big win, and there was nothing like it. And I'd give anything to be able to go on the back of bus 3 one more time, because it was some good times, man.
Todd, what else it did too was it brought y'all closer together, and
Absolutely.
we won a lot of games. I mean,
Yeah.
those first 5 or 6 years or 5 years we were in Atlanta, and I think you were there 4 of the 5 that I was there, and we won a bunch of games, and that beer always tasted good in the back of that bus. I mean,
No, you're right.
there wasn't many times it didn't.
I hear that.
We
Hey,
had
Scelfo, we got to go back to what I kind of started this whole thing with, yourself being the self-proclaimed best center to ever come out of the state of Louisiana. Now,
I have to cut you off there. I have to cut you off. Not self-proclaimed.
okay.
It's history. I mean, it's written down. I mean, everybody knows it, Todd. I know jealousy is a problem that you have
Give me the
sometimes.
list.
You
Give me
know,
the
but
list.
huh?
Give me
Well,
the list.
it's me, uh, Kevin,
He's in the
you,
Hall of Fame. Yeah.
you. Um, I can't think of any others. I
Well,
mean,
that's the only 3 we need,
that's it. That's it. I mean, us three, and it's me and I don't know. You'd have to flip a coin between you and Kevin, and
No, he's got a
Kevin's
gold jacket.
yeah, but that's on a different level. He wasn't as good as us in college, though. That's different. I mean,
Hey, you
like
speaking
me,
for yourself now.
I just chose not to play in the NFL. That's all. I wanted to go on, start my career, and get married. But Kevin is the head coach at a school up in Tennessee now. Uh,
Is he really?
yep, a little private school up there. Doing well. He's doing well.
Well, that's
But
good.
yeah, and I let him know because I was at that was the year Tony got in, right?
Right.
He and Tony went in together, and I was up there, and Tony invited the fam, and we were up there, and I ran into Kevin, and Joe talked to him, and yeah, I let him know, I'm glad you had a good pro career because your college career wasn't near as good as mine. I let him know, he had his jacket on, but I wasn't jealous because I chose not to.
You can go
So
buy your own gold jacket, huh?
yeah, I put a patch on that, you know. I mean, but yeah. we when I was at Tulane as the head coach, we played LSU twice, and every time I went to that stadium, I thought about you. But when you were playing at LSU, okay, y'all had some good years.
Right.
And what was your last year there?
99 was my last year.
Okay, so in 1997, y'all had a hell of a team.
Yeah, we did. That was the year we beat Florida when Florida was #1. Kevin Falk, Booker McFarland. We had a group. Yeah, we had a really good team.
Y'all lost one game though, and I don't know if you remember the game you lost.
I have a feeling you're about to tell me. I don't remember. Tell me about it.
I was the offensive coordinator at Georgia. We
I
came
remember that one. Me and Booger talked about that the other day.
Yep. And
Champ Bailey, and Quincy Carter. I remember they had a big catch. I think Champ had a big catch on y'all's sideline to kind of seal that deal. And there was an onside kick in that game, and I can't remember. Came down to it. What happened? Tell me about it.
well, it was 3rd and I think 8. And I mean, Champ Bailey had played 100 and something snaps that night. They talk about, these other guys at Colorado.
He was Travis Henry before Travis Henry.
Way before, or Hunter, Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter. Yeah, that's what I meant.
He played like 110, 112 snaps that night, special teams, offense, and defense. But so we got like 3rd and 8. If we convert, we win the game. We just run it out. So our center was out. So we had to move Jonas Jennings, who played in the league quite some time, to center. Well, Booger was the nose. And I'm telling you now, you go back and look at this. This is as plain as day. We snapped the ball. We called timeout. I brought the offense over there. I told Champ, I said, Champ, you're going to run a corner route. Quincy, you roll the ball up because they can't jump as high as him.
I remember it.
All right. Well, we snapped the ball. And I'm telling you right now, Todd, go back and look at it. Booger got to Quincy faster than the damn ball did damn near. Right? Caught it through it and got hammered. I mean, Jonas Jennings as fast as you can swim, bam. We made the catch somehow miraculously.
I remember it was right there on y'all's sideline, right in front of y'all, right?
Yep, yeah. Right sideline.
I remember it, man. That was and that was a big loss for us because we were feeling good about ourselves and about our program. And if we win that game, I want to say we had got up to number 4, number 5 in the country.
I think y'all were 3, 1990.
Might have been.
Because we played, I think, the 4th game, maybe 3rd or 4th. But y'all were way up there. Y'all had
and after that loss, that kind of I know it set it in a tailspin for Coach DiNardo and his staff. It was never the same after that. So now I got somebody to blame it on. I can blame it on you, for me not winning national championship in college.
Well, for a lot of faults, I mean, you can blame me for being, the second best center in the state. You can blame me for, a lot of things, but it's okay. It's okay.
Oh man, Scelfo, I love you, man. I love you too. For all you Louisiana people, y'all know you probably recognize that Scelfo name. Of course, Chris was from Abbeville, Louisiana, played up at Northeast, right? Did you play at Northeast? Played at Northeast. His brother Frank is a head coach at Southeastern. Your nephew played quarterback at Tulane, and your son, of course, we talked about Joseph.
My
go ahead.
Gambino's Bakery.
Gambino, there you go.
Yep.
There you go. We like king cakes too. So what I was getting at, the Scelfo name, good people. You might hear some bad things about Chris, but they're not all bad, But this is him, right? Scelfo, what are you doing right now? I know after you got out of the NFL, you had a few different stops around the country a little bit. What you doing with your life right now?
Well, I tell people I'm semi-retired. I don't feel like I want to get back into the college game. As much money as they're making nowadays, I just feel like the game's changed so much from a coaching standpoint. And when I was in the NFL, you didn't have to coach as hard as I did before I got there. But I can't see myself going back and having a player make more money than me.
Right.
I lived that life in the NFL, and that's fine. But in college, I was in a couple of these new leagues. I was in the AAF for a year. I was the coordinator out at the Arizona Hot Shots, and then they folded. Then I went to the XFL, and I was there till they folded the COVID year. And
Right.
I'm peeking back in that, and I still want to coach. I've talked to people about being an analyst. I'm like you, Todd. I do want to be around it,
Right.
but I don't want to go through. I did it for 35 years. I neglected a lot of things with my wife, my kids. And now my son's coaching, and we go out to Albuquerque a couple times, watch every game on television. My daughter lives here in Fairhope, which is
Right.
why we moved here. She's married, and her and her husband live here, and they're not going anywhere. So, we get to see them, and don't have any grandkids yet, but I don't want a 365-day a year job anymore.
No, I could remember Scelfo coming in. It'd be during the week, your game plan days where we're coming in 6 o'clock and you walking out of a closet and look like you just got hit by a truck. But there was many a nights where you slept or y'all slept up there at the facility in the coach's office because y'all didn't get done till late. And people don't always see that the hours and the time that you guys put in. But I can remember that many nights you sleeping
Yep.
up there at the facility.
I never went home until Thursday night and Sunday night of home games. At the end of the day, you do what you have to do for your family. You do what you do. You do what you have to do because you love it. And I think
Right,
now, Todd, a lot of coaches are getting into it because of the money,
right.
and uh, you know, not the Kirby Smarts, not that group of guys. Just but guys that are getting into it now just so instead of being a doctor or a lawyer or an attorney, they become a football coach because you make more money. But
Well, I'm gonna ask you this, and then see put you on the spot. If Chris Scelfo was not a football coach, what would you have been doing in life? What would you have done in life?
oh,
I'm
that's
gonna tell you what I think. I think you would have made a hell of a used car salesman.
well, I don't know about I don't think used, uh, but maybe a new car or yeah, I would be selling something.
Yeah, man.
Legal or illegal, legally illegal, coming out of New Iberian swamp, I'd sell something,
I
you know.
hear you. I hear. Well, we'll just
But
leave it at that. You'd be a
it would,
salesman. We don't know what it would be. Uh,
yeah.
Probably
But
chicken
Todd,
manure.
yeah, when I was a sophomore in college, I lost my mom and dad 6 months apart.
I remember you told me that.
I didn't have many choices. I had to, look. Either I could have went right or I could have went wrong, and I just chose to go the graduate assistant route because they were going to give me 3 meals and a bed when I finished playing.
Right.
And at the time, that was all that was important to me. And then somehow my career took off. I went from there to Oklahoma to Marshall to Georgia to Tulane to the Falcons. My career just it ascended. And
Right.
if I had the same career at this time, at this age, uh, if I had done it later in time and had the same career, I probably wouldn't be talking to you on this podcast. I mean, you'd have to reach me somewhere in Europe, probably.
I hear
Uh,
you.
or we'd be doing it in Greece. All the money these guys make,
I hear that, man.
which would be dangerous for me, Todd. I don't need all that money.
I hear that, man.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, y'all know Scelfo's been on my butt, and I've been wanting to get him on here. One of my favorite coaches of all times. We had some good times together, and my producer here, my wife Heidi, is asking, and this may take you a second. I know putting you on the spot. Your favorite Todd McClure Mud Duck story? You got something that sticks out, or it doesn't have to be a story. Just give me something, Coach.
Well, I mean, I don't have any that really stand out except the fact that every day you came to go to work, uh, Matt Ryan owes you a hell of a lot because his first year, honest to God, and I know you'd never say this, but you made him that first year. he couldn't call a protection. He couldn't change the protection. He couldn't find the mic. I mean, you really, and then, when you call those meetings with the guys and went over blitz pickup and, went through that and then took it onto the field, Matt, you gave Matt a chance and you gave Matt a chance to get started and get his confidence up.
Yeah,
And
and you selling Matt a little short there. Matt was pretty sharp, But for a young quarterback, and you hear guys talk about it all the time, for a young quarterback, you really need an experienced group in front of him. And I think one of the things I was able to do was to help a young quarterback take some stuff off of his plate. Help him with protections, help him with some checks. And, like you said, we had a really good group and a good team. I was just fortunate to be a part of Matt's career, because I look back and I see, he's one of the best guys to ever play that position. And you can look at the numbers don't lie. And the thing about Matt is he is a class act, one of my favorite teammates of all times.
the most humble and classy guy, But Todd, you really helped him that first year. Yes,
Yeah.
he was sharp, but he wasn't near. He came out of Boston College, and everybody thought he was sharp. Yeah, he was sharp, but I tell you what, if it wasn't for you, we would have struggled. We made the playoffs that first year, his rookie year. If you remember that,
Well, that's why they pay me league minimum. That's why I got that league minimum, and
Hey,
I was able to bring those quarterbacks.
just know this: every dollar you made, you stole.
I stole. You're right about that.
You stole
Hey, you just got to
because
fool one person. That was my motto in life. Just fool one person. I just couldn't fool Dimitrov enough to get paid more to come back for another year.
well, I know this. You and I both, we fooled a lot of people because
that's all you got to do.
that's all you got to do.
If you ain't good, you just got to fool somebody in life, and you can get by. You lying to people, tell them you're the best center ever to come out of state. Some people gonna believe that. They gonna. Hey, but look, there's no footage. There's no way I could type in Chris Scelfo highlight video and see you actually playing on the field. I mean, it's not possible unless we're gonna pull up some old cameras where y'all was out there whining it. Nobody can dispute that fact.
There's 16 millimeter floating around somewhere, and it may be in the College Hall of Fame, Todd. I don't know. Maybe they have.
Well, I'll put in a call. We'll see.
We have to look into that. Probably in the College Hall of Fame.
All right, look, I'm gonna ask you one more question, and you can take some time to think about this. What's your career highlight, your coaching career highlight from when you got started as a GA to where you are now? You look back in one moment that pops in your mind. What is that moment, or what are those moments that stick out to you?
The top of the list, Todd, in 2002, when I was the head coach at Tulane.
Mm-hmm.
We qualified for a bowl game, and we went to Hawaii, and we were 15-point underdogs to June Jones and Timmy Chang, and
running that run and shoot out there, huh?
Yeah, and we beat them, and that was probably the highlight of my career.
That's awesome.
We were the first team to beat them in the Hawaii Bowl because they played in it pretty much every year, and they had, Travis LeBoy. They had a bunch of guys, a couple of old linemen that played in the league. One of them since passed away.
Now, let me ask you this: was Matt Forte, was he on that team?
No, that was Weldy Moore. JP,
okay, that's a Baton Rouge guy, Weldy Moore.
J.P. Lawson was our quarterback.
Okay.
Matt came in after Weldy, but that was probably the highlight. Then the lowest I've ever been, and I don't know if I've ever gotten over, was when we lost to San Francisco.
I'm with you, man. Yeah, I'm with you. Scelfo, we were 15 yards from going to the Super Bowl.
I mean,
I can remember we had two plays down there, and I don't remember if it was Roddy or Tony that there was a blatant pass interference that they didn't call. I think it was Roddy. Yeah, but I mean, it was right there. And I can remember Scelfo seriously sitting right there at the 15-yard line, 20-yard line, wherever we are, and looking down at the goalpost and the goal line and thinking to myself, if we get there, we're going to the Super Bowl. And that's how close we were, And,
yep.
You look at a guy like like Jason Kelsey now. You know, he's a guy who's blown up doing all this, but people ask or wonder, why does he keep playing? You know, he's gotten so close. He made it to the Super Bowl last year, and, you know, of course, his brother's team won. But I think the reason that guy, he's making unbelievable money. The reason he's still playing, but other than the fact that he loves the game, loves the locker room, is he wants the opportunity to be able to hold that trophy up. And it's amazing the power that has on your mind to push through things. And you hear him talk about it, you know. When is he going to stop? I heard him last night talking about when his body, and when he says, look, you know, I just can't do it anymore physically. But even watching him talk last night, he got teary-eyed just thinking about this coming to an end for him, you know. But I think that's what pushes guys. And we were so close. We were 15 yards to going to the Super Bowl, and my body felt so bad after that year. But I felt like I could go through it for one more to get the opportunity to go play in that game.
And you know, we threw a stick. It was 4th and 4. We threw a stick, and that was the pass interference to Roddy, which Tony was usually in that position.
Right.
We sent Tony out wide, but Tony was wide open on a slant, but Max Reed was to throw the stick versus that coverage.
And that's what I remember. That's why I said I couldn't remember if it was Roddy or Tony. I can remember everybody talking about Tony being open.
Yep.
And that's one thing that drives me nuts is fans that, you know, holler and scream about he was open. They don't understand the quarterback's reads, you know.
Read. And you know, the other thing, Todd, the Super Bowl was in New Orleans that year.
Was it really?
Yes, it was.
It might have been. Hey, it might have been a good thing I didn't make it. You imagine the amount of money we'd have spent on tickets.
Well,
being here in New Orleans.
I know you know you can't ever sell a ticket in the NFL, but you know, I think we were going to get 15 of them. And I told my wife was going to be a photographer because she took pictures, you know, all year on the sideline.
Right.
So she had a photography pass. Joseph was going to work. He was going to be, you know, helping the equipment, which he worked every game.
All right, so there's $30,000. Yeah.
Okay. I told my daughter, I said, sweetie, I'll give you $5,000 cash, but you ain't getting a ticket. So,
oh, I'm telling you.
Look, you watch it on TV, sweetie, but I don't have a ticket for you. You know,
it's crazy. It's crazy. You get the option. I think that's what it was, 15. And I can remember me and Heidi sitting there that week building up, you know, in the NFC Championship game. And I was in that situation twice, once with Matt Ryan, once with Michael Vick. But mapping out who are these tickets going to go to? And then mapping it out and realizing, do you know how much money we're about to spend on these tickets, you know? It's basically like you're playing the playoffs for free for your family and all to go to the Super Bowl, which is crazy, you know. But I would have done it in a heartbeat to get the opportunity.
Every dime.
In fact, you would have got your daughter a ticket.
No, I wouldn't. But anyway, you know, Matt Bryant, you know, he lives down in Orange Beach. Him and Melissa got a beautiful home down there, but they moved up to Jackson, Mississippi for his son to play baseball. But whenever Matt and I, we get together, you know, quite a bit when they down here, you know, we always talk about that kick he made. You know,
and, Seattle. I remember that. And that year, that was when I talk about Scelfo, you talk about your moments you regret. You look back, the San Francisco game. One of my favorite moments was that Seattle game because Russell Wilson drives down, they scored. It looks like, man, this game is over with. We have a minute 20 maybe left on the clock. We put a drive together, and then Matt comes out, kicks that game winner. The roller coaster ride and the way you felt like, man, we're out of it. No, we just won it. Look, I'm getting chills right now talking about it. That is one of my fondest memories in all of sports.
Well, you know, we were way ahead of San Fran in the first half, and then we threw that wheel route to Harry Douglas. I saw Harry on television the other day talk about all these players and stuff, and all I could think about was him falling down when he was had a chance to score. I don't know if you remember that, but
I remember it.
Wide open, he just fell down. And I wish I could call in one of them shows when he's talking about a player and tell him he cost his chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Harry Douglas, Scelfo's taking shots fired. Hey, that dude was a character. He's one of my favorite teammates. I'm going to have Harry on one day.
Yeah.
Because the thing
Yeah.
about Harry, he could get along with anybody in the locker room, and he was going to joke and he was going to get on. Poor man's Kevin Hart is what Harry Douglas is.
Yeah.
But just a great teammate and great dude.
Great teammate. That's relationships. Like you said, I'd give anything to be back on that third bus. I'd give anything to be back in the locker room just with the guys.
I'm with you, man.
That's what I enjoy.
Well,
Yeah.
man, Scelfo, I appreciate you taking some time out, and I'm glad we finally made it work. We got you on here. I can say it's first guest that had Copenhagen in. I wish I could have a little Copenhagen in right now. As we're doing the podcast.
Let's go.
Let's go. My bad.
Copenhagen,
No, I'm the Copenhagen man. You the Skull man. But man, I appreciate you coming on. I'm calling the College Football Hall of Fame. We're gonna try to find some game film because I want to debate this being the third best center to ever come out of state Louisiana. I would like to be number 2, and if we can get you off the top of that board, I got a shot.
Well, you do, and the number's 1-800-626-4242.
That's the College Football Hall of Fame?
Yeah, that's the College Football Hall of Fame. And so
man, that's probably the IRS or somebody you got me calling. Oh, shoot. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms. If you like this episode, holler at your boy. I want to hear what you thought about it.